Good evening. My name's Emily Mello. I'm Director of Education and Public Programs at the Miami Art Museum, and welcome to Miami Vinyl Part 3, the mid-1990s to now. This is the final installment of a 3-part series, but we have more record events ahead, and I just want to let you know about those. On Thursday, May 17th, we have an artist in the exhibition, Dario Robleto, who will be coming to speak about his relationship to vinyl and about issues related to the transition from analog to digital, and his very poetic relationship of music being passed down from generation to generation, from artist to musician and musician to artist, and it should be a lovely talk. You can see his work in the galleries, and I hope that you do. The final talk will be May 31st from 6 to 9 with Dave Tompkins, writer for The Village Voice, The Wire, the author of A History of the Vocoder, and right now his current research has been about Miami bass, so he will be delivering a talk called I'm going to get this, I have to read this one because it's close to an album title. His lecture is The Beat Who Cheated Death, How Bass Shaped Miami. So that should be an equally exciting and engaging talk, so I hope that you join us for that as well. Finally, on Saturday, June 9th, we will have a Sound Clash DJ battle from 6 to 9, and I hope you'll join us for that. And all of the DJs who have been providing the music following these talks will be playing that evening. This panel series has been really wonderful, and it is really the people who can take credit for it are our advisory committee, for the record, advisory committee made up of community members, musicians, artists, record collectors, DJs, producers. Some of those include Jordan Binder, Mario Cater Fresh, P. Scott Cunningham, Michael Genovese, Bruno Del Granado, Nicholas Lobo, Aramis Laurie, Daniel Maluski, Laura Quinlan, Lauren Reskin, our moderator tonight, Leighton Walsh, and Andrew Yeomanson. And then, of course, none of this would be possible without our funding, which this whole program and all of the programs related to the record, exhibition support, as well as other programs that we've had that may not even find their way onto the calendar, such as workshops with teens in the community, DJ workshops, and things that we've been doing that have been a little under the radar, as well as our family programs, have all been made possible from a grant from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation as part of the Knight Arts Challenge. We've also had additional support from DJ La Spam with our MAM Sound Bomb bus that's been traveling around neighborhoods the whole month of April, including Sweatstock. The J.W. Marquis, Ocean Drive Magazine, Red Bull, Scratch Academy, Smirnoff, Stanton, Winter Music Conference, The Workshop Collective, WPBT Channel 2, and WVUM FM. And just one final note, since this is our final panel, someone earlier remarked that it was great that we were doing this to legitimize all of the music making that's been happening in Miami. And I would say that's really a two-way street, because this program has been really wonderful for us, because the museum loses its legitimacy when it stops looking around at all of the creative things that are happening in a community, and it's been wonderful to be here and to discover with our audiences this rich history. So I thank all of those committee members, all of our funders, and everyone here tonight. And you will learn more about the panelists, but just very briefly, who's sitting here tonight is our moderator, Lauren Reskin, who many of you know as Lolo. Owner of Sweat Records, Romulo Del Castillo, of Schematic Records and the group Phoenecia, Garcia Hip-hop artist, and member of the collective Crazy Hood. We also have Arielle Castillo, music journalist and contributing writer for Spin, and Abel Folgar, contributing writer for the Miami New Times, as well as a historian of the local punk and underground music scene. So thank you so much for all being a part of this tonight, and thank you for coming.
Alrighty, thank you everyone, friends, family, museum patrons, music lovers for coming out on this lovely Thursday evening. I want to thank so much the MAM and my awesome panelists who are here today. I would like to just let them introduce themselves a little further so that you can get to know them. Romulo.
Hi, I was born in Lima, Peru, and I've lived in Miami since 1978, and I'm very happy to live here still. And be a part of the community and be here right now. And I'm freaking out. No. I hope it's entertaining for you guys. I enjoyed the first two very much, so lot to stand up to. Garcia?
My name is Garcia. I come from a crew called Crazy Hood Productions. We've been in the Miami music scene since 1993. And I'm also, aside from being a rapper and MC who has pressed vinyl and been through all the phases of hip-hop in Miami since the early 90s, I'm also now a music video director. So, I hope you guys get something out of what I say, hopefully. And this is Arielle, who's my friend.
Hey, I'm Arielle. I'm Miami born and raised. I got involved in the Miami music scene in the late 90s when I wrote a zine about the ska and punk scene at the time. I got involved in electronic music around that time, and then I went to college elsewhere, came back in 2005, and I've been covering the Miami music scene since then. I served as the music editor for both Miami New Times and Broward Palm Beach New Times from 2007 to 2010, and since then I've been writing about Miami music for Spin, Rolling Stone, and a bunch of other publications.
Good evening. My name is Abel Folgar. I was born and raised in Caracas, Venezuela, and I've been living in Miami since 1991, which for me at the time was when I moved here to go to high school. And my take on living in South Florida is that around the time that I moved here, the people that I grew up with were thinking about New York and LA and all these crappy other cities in the U.S. where they have these, this mythical idea of what they were. As far as I was concerned, I had just moved here. This was a vibrant community. I had, lived in Latin America, buying crap off the California Skate Express and the Maximum Rock and Roll classified ads, and I thought this was it. America, qué bueno. But then I moved here, and everybody's like, oh man, fuck Miami, I'm going to New York. I never really understood that back in 1991. I don't understand that today in 2012. I'm basically here because I fooled somebody, mostly Miss Castillo over here, who was my editor at New Times, and other people on this panel. So hopefully my language is tiered this evening. I see there are children in the audience. I don't want to disrespect anybody. And if I get out of line, please feel free to heckle me.
Heckle Abel. Okay. I'm Lauren Reskin, as Emily said, and I'm also born and raised in Miami, been a lifelong fan of music, always been interested in it, and I started as a DJ and kind of indie club promoter, and I worked in the corporate retail side of things for about 6 years, and then in 2005, I left that to open Sweat, which thankfully is still around, and we just had our 7th anniversary. So to get to the topic of today, Miami vinyl. As you may have noticed in the media, in the gallery, all around, vinyl's back somehow. It's regained popularity, it's been growing in sales. Rough numbers are that it's increased sales-wise 20% every year for the last 5 years. There's a renewed interest. One of the reasons I think it's becoming popular again is so many people now grew up with music only in a digital format, and they want to connect more to their music. They want something tactile. They want to see this 12 by 12 canvas that has artwork that their favorite artists, put real effort into making something special and putting this whole product together. So it's back, and today we're talking about what happened through the 90s to now. And the 90s pretty much in the beginning was signaling the death of cassettes as a format and the rise and dominance for a while of CDs. And during that time, vinyl didn't die, it just went underground. And today on the panel, we'd like to kind of show you which places it went in its little hibernation underground. And we have some great representatives here from lots of the different music scenes that were very vibrant in Miami in the 90s. And we're gonna go explore how the music scenes have shifted and how vinyl culture has shifted with it. So let me start with Romulo, to my left. His label, Schematic Records, started in 1996, and they kept putting out release after release of what then was kind of sometimes termed IDM, intelligent dance music. A lot of the people in that genre rejected that term because it's stupid. And
thank you.
It's basically just experimental dance music more so than anything else, and some of it's not even dancey. So electronic music is a good label for it.
I like trip hop better.
Trip hop.
Trip hop is like the best.
You guys
name.
Didn't do that.
We did.
But Schematic was born and bred in Miami, and they gained national and international followings for the music they were putting out. And I remember going. Reading Wire magazine, which is a really esteemed UK magazine about music and culture, and seeing a full-page article about them and being kind of shocked because I always, went to their shows, but I just didn't realize how far beyond Miami their, reach had extended. So I want to ask you, one of the things that's very specific to Schematic, and one of the reasons why it gained such a following, is that the artwork is gorgeous. It's very thought out, and you guys not only collaborated with your musicians, but it seems that just as much effort was put into the artists you worked with. And As One, Designers Republic, Friends with You, Sean Wolf, were all some of the people you worked with. Tell us more about why that was so important for you guys.
I didn't know she was going to ask me this, so I got to think about it. I don't know what it was at the time. I guess maybe, some of the stuff coming from Europe. I guess in the 90s, vinyl was dying out. People are still surprised that vinyl's still around. It was definitely dying out in the 90s. Spec stopped selling vinyl, and, Virgin, I think when it first opened, didn't sell vinyl.
No,
and
we
all
had
of a
to pressure
sudden
them.
Maybe did. All the stuff coming from Europe was like gatefold, embossing, die cut, blah, blah, blah. So I think we definitely, because our market was like everywhere besides Miami for a while. I think it took some people like maybe Lolo or other people to say, hey, why don't you guys actually do something in Miami? And that came 3 years later or something. We used to play raves under this other band, and we just go play these raves in South Florida, and they were hilarious, or anywhere in the U.S. when there were still these raves. And it wasn't really like what would happen later in Miami, where it felt like we were in Europe or something, at a show. They definitely got really good in that sense. But yeah, I was telling Lolo though the other day that the covers are, it's there's probably records that didn't get released for a year or two just because we didn't find the right artist. It was just as important, and yeah, so we got to work with some really cool people, and we still do. And yeah, and some of them aren't around anymore, and some are bigger than ever.
What was the first release on Schematic that kind of broke out?
We did some comps that had Designers Republic, covers that got reviewed in Spin, and sold anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 copies, which is a lot for comps. And compilations are usually regarded as samplers or kind of throwaway things, but our comps are really conceptual, and sort of was the beginning of what would later be full-length albums. I don't think at the time people thought that this music could have a full-length album. It was really just kind of 12 inches and singles or something like that.
A lot of the artists that you guys worked with, especially predominantly people that were local to here, or kind of even up through Georgia, later got picked up by Warp Records and a lot of really huge international labels. Do you guys, how did you see Schematic's relation as kind of a launch pad for this stuff?
Kind of like what Cuba is to baseball. We were to Warp for some reason, but yeah, we had. I don't know if there's maybe one city outside of Miami that had so many, artists that actually got released on Warp. So it's kind of a lot to say about Miami and the scene back then. And it would be nice to see like Warp picking up